Good evening, adventurers, and welcome back to the Maze. This is MazeCast episode 16. We welcome you back. Good to have you here in the Maze with myself and the apprentice, Stephen.
Yep.
Say hi, Stephen.
Hello, hello. First,
Hey.
first week. I guess this is like officially our first weekly podcast episode. We've been doing
It
bi-weekly,
is.
bi-weekly. So this one is the first. We've only been gone for a week this time, and we already have a full list of things to talk about, just like I knew would
We
happen. So
really do. There is a lot going on in the Maze, so let's jump into things. What's new? We ran our session one of the Kingdom of Keshanar last night, which is a
mhm.
D&D 5e setting. We've talked about that here on the podcast before, or you may be familiar with it from Instagram or from Kickstarter or Facebook, where Dave and the good folks over at Orthane Productions are busy at work writing out 10, 11, 12 hours a day. They're hammering out this core rule book for us and the setting book. So those should be shipping sometime into the first quarter this year. So we're looking forward to that. But we did wrap up our first story arc. It was a short one, but it was an interesting one. And it set up some really great plot points for use down the road in that campaign. Players had a great time. So I'm going to be working on getting that recap up tomorrow, which will be Sunday the 18th. So that will be available for you guys probably sometime tomorrow evening if you want to check it out on the website. We will post a link down in the show notes for you guys to check that out. But we had a really great time with it. So check that out. We've got plenty of pictures and things like that for you guys to look at and let us know what you think about the campaign and the campaign setting. It's a lot of fun. Next, we're going to talk about an upcoming game. I am now currently running 3 games that are paid games. I will be running the Master and Apprentices campaign. Session one will take place this coming Friday,
I cannot
which
wait.
will be
I
yeah,
cannot wait.
it's gonna be a lot of fun. So that'll be Friday the 21st. That is going to be is it the 21st? Hell, what day is Friday? I don't
Twenty
even
third,
remember.
I think.
23rd. So Friday the 23rd of January will be session one for the Master and Apprentice campaign. That is going to be a Faerun based game. It's going to start out in the city of Neverwinter, but who knows where we will go from there? That is totally up to my players. But we have the apprentice is going to be playing a thief. We've talked about his character before. He's going to be running something kind of different for a rogue class. Stephen, why don't you tell us a little bit? Just recap again for us what it is your
Sure.
character is going to be doing.
Yeah. So we've talked a lot about how, I think really a lot of folks like to do things a little bit unconventionally in terms of how you play kind of a traditional character. So I am playing a rogue, but really my focus is on battlefield control, disruption, and support. So I'm running a
Right.
lot, think smoke bombs, tripwires, um, things like
Caltrips,
healing
things like that.
potions.
Yeah.
Yeah, just more of like a support and utility rogue rather than just like setting up for a backstab rogue. So
Right. Yeah. It sounds like a really interesting concept. I've never had anybody approach me with that kind of thing before. I talked about it with my other group, which we'll go into shortly. Uh, they were like a support class rogue. I'm like, yeah, it's pretty cool. The concept is really awesome. I said, basically running kind of a battlefield control, kind of funnel them into the filter, which will lead them into Josh's character. Josh is going to basically be playing your typical striker fighter type.
mm-hmm.
He's basically going to be a disenfranchised soldier from the army of Neverwinter who is basically trying to eke out an existence now as kind of a mercenary.
Yep.
He and Steven's characters both will be in the employ of Nathan's character.
Mm-hmm.
Nathan is going to be playing a charlatan wizard
Mm-hmm.
who is kind of a flim flam artist who basically sells
Allegedly.
allegedly, who hasn't been proven in a court yet,
Yeah.
but he sells magic items. Kind of think snake oil salesman, where he's selling
Mm-hmm.
items, telling people they're magic items and items of protection, things like that, and they're really not. So
Yep.
it'll be interesting to see what kind of mischief and trouble these three get into.
Mm-hmm.
That campaign will take place this coming Friday. But be on the lookout for a recap of that after it happens and some photos. It'll be screen captures because I will obviously be playing through Roll20 and online on Discord.
Mm-hmm.
But we will take some screen captures for you guys to look at and see what's
I
going on.
and I'm gonna, again, this is my first return into D&D in like, I don't know, 10, 15 years, 15 probably, closer to 15, maybe even
Yeah,
20
probably.
years. Um,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna try to record and do some shorts. But bear with me. I mean, I'm gonna be playing through and fumbling through a player's, handbook and everything, and also trying to keep up. So I'm gonna try to get some shorts out there. But if it's just pictures for the first run, just stay tuned because we're going to try to get as much content out of that as possible because I'm sure it's going to be a Three Stooges scenario. It's going to be funny. Stuff's going to go wrong. So just
Oh yeah,
keep an eye out for that
absolutely.
kind of stuff. We'll be funneling content to you. This year we're really dedicated. Like I said, we're doing episodes every week. Dad's playing 3 campaigns, which all come with their own, recaps and blog posts and pictures and videos. We're really trying to pump up the content. So
Yeah. Speaking of 3 games, I had my session 0 today with 4 new players that I have never met before today. One of them is a friend of a player in my Kingdom of Keshanar game, who I got introduced to about 6 months ago. He reached out to me via email and said, hey, I'd really like to get into a D&D game. I have a group. Let's get together. We had a few emails go back and forth, and then he just kind of vanished. But he reached back out to me just prior to Christmas. Hey, that group kind of fell apart. One guy moved away. Another guy has just kind of gone dark. And I've got 3 other players, so 4 including myself, that would like to have you run a D&D game for us. We'll obviously pay your going rate, what have you. And we'd like to get together and have a session 0. So we did that today. We met for about 3 hours at one of the players' houses. He was kind enough to host for us. That is also going to be a Forgotten Realms setting. I know we talk a lot about the Forgotten Realms, but I will go on record as saying it was not my choice. I offered it, but I offered all kinds of other alternatives, but they were all familiar with, because all of them had played the Baldur's Gate games, the Neverwinter games, things like that. So they're very familiar with the setting of the Forgotten Realms. So that's what they were
it
comfortable with. So
it's
that's
such
where
a
we're going
it's
to
such a
start.
good setting, and in my
It really
opinion,
is.
like delving back into the lore and the world, like I've been doing for the past year basically to write stories and little
Mhm.
shorts and stuff. It's just not only is it the most familiar, but it's also like the most like in my opinion at least, it's the most flexible. Like you can turn
Correct.
that realm and that plane in general, and it's so versatile. Like it can be
It
almost
really
any
is.
story. So like
It really is.
and I know there's other like plane. Like I'm a huge fan of like the demi plane of dread. I love Ravenloft and all that. But
Mhm.
really, if you're playing in Ravenloft, the themes in the campaign, it has to be horror themed. Like I mean, it
Oh
literally
yeah,
has to be. Whereas I feel like in the
absolutely.
Forgotten Realms, it's pretty like it could be almost any theme you would want. You could loop in planes like Ravenloft and other planes, and come back to the material plane if you want. So
Mhm.
it's such an easy, it's like a nice chair. You just sit down, you know
It's
exactly what you're gonna
yeah,
get, and it's good. It's just like Lord of the Rings, man. It's like
yeah.
exactly,
It's
it's awesome.
it's a great playground because, like to your point, it does offer a lot of versatility in settings.
Yeah.
And if you want to do in the frozen north, you've got Icewind Dale. If you want a jungle, you go down south to the jungles of Chult.
Mm,
If you want a desert, you go to the Anarok Desert.
yeah.
There's verdant settings. There are forested settings. There's just so many different things to do.
Yeah.
And the people, and props to Ed Greenwood and everybody who's worked on it. It is a huge living, breathing world to me, and it's probably the one I'm the
I
most familiar with. So
Yeah,
it'll
I
be
agree.
easy
I
to play.
mean, again, my perspective isn't as experienced as yours, but when I think of fantasy worlds, it's always Middle Earth, it's the Forgotten Realms,
Mhm.
and then it's like Elder Scrolls, like Tamriel, and it's like
Right.
they all have one thing in common is that they give you something to play with in terms of like
Mhm.
settings and different kinds of enemies and all that. They're just so versatile as a whole. So anyway,
Agreed. Agreed. Let's jump into some TTRPG news.
hmm
Pathfinder announced 2 new books.
hmm
The first one is going to be called Impossible Magic. This is basically the annual rulebook they put out. It's going to feature 4 new updated four classes: the Magus, the Necromancer, which I'm pretty excited about, Runesmith, and the Summoner. Summoner sounds like it's a great class. It's something that they had before, but it wasn't really very well flushed out.
yeah,
So I'm assuming that they're flushing it out pretty well in this book. It's also going to have 240 new spells. That is a lot of spell content. I'm assuming it'll be specific for those archetypes.
this,
It's going to have new archetypes,
this is all
new
for
arcane
2E, right?
schools.
This is still Pathfinder 2E, right?
This is Pathfinder 2E, so it's
That's
basically going to
so
have,
many spells, man.
yeah, it's a lot of spells. You got new arcane schools, new magical items, and that's going to debut at GenCon this year. So look for that this summer when GenCon hits. So that will be out probably second quarter. And then they have the Lost Omens, the High Seas.
hmm
This is going to basically cover areas like Hermea, Magda. I'm sure I'm butchering these names because I'm not familiar with them, so forgive me. Mediogalti Island, the Mordant Spire, the Shackles, and various underwater regions. So if you like a campaign that's a high seas based or seaborne campaign or underwater campaign, this sounds like it's going to be right up your
I
alley.
will say the High Seas book has a lot of really cool flavor that I don't normally attribute to Pathfinder. Not to say that I like Pathfinder. I love, but the flavor here of you're going into the island of Hermea, the home of the deadly red mantis assassins on Mediogalti Island. The mysteries of the Mordant Spire grown from the remains of a dead god. The countless
Yes.
pirates scoured islands of the Shackles, dangerous depths of underwater. I mean that flavor is like such a cool. I mean, to me, it's like it's not
Yeah.
something you kind of align with Pathfinder normally. So
Yeah.
it just sounds really cool. I mean, it sounds awesome.
Yeah. I think it's something they definitely needed to tap into, and this will give game masters a great resource. So I'm looking forward to that book coming out. I haven't played Pathfinder in a while, but I'd like to get back into it at some point. As a player, I'd really like to get out from behind the screen once in a while. But I'll see if I can find somebody who's willing to run it. Other than that, we got news. I saw on Facebook, I'm on many Facebook groups for Dungeons and Dragons, and I noticed Mike Schley he did the map, the official map of Faerun for WotC, and that basically made an appearance in the Heroes of Faerûn book, which was recently released. So he is offering on his website copies of that map, which it's a greatly detailed map. So he's going to have that out in an 8 by 12 and then a 4 foot by 6 foot ginormous map on vinyl, which I think will be amazing. I would love to have it. So you can get it as either a digital version or you can actually have it printed and shipped to you. I already have a Faerun map that was on canvas that my wife bought me years ago, which is stretched and hung up in a beautiful kind of an old barnwood frame that hangs on the wall in our living room, which gets a lot of weird looks because people are like, I'm not familiar with that place. Yeah, I'm sure you're not. So
It's really
I would take
far
a look
away.
at that. Yeah, we will have links for that purchase if you're interested, or we can just go over and take a look at it if you'd like in our show notes. But that's definitely something I'm looking forward to. Um, he basically, I think it was great that he landed this commission with WotC, and he did a bang up job getting that map done. So kudos to him. I think it's definitely going to be a beneficial resource for players and GMs alike. So check that out. Stephen, you wanted to talk a little bit about the new Paladin Oath class that was released for 5e. It's playtesting. It started, I think it dropped January 15th. Is that right?
January 15th, yeah, it came out a few days ago. It's a new oath called the Spell Guard.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought it was interesting they dropped this. I mean, maybe I just didn't see them talking about it, but I feel like it just came out of like nowhere. This
I
just
hadn't heard anything about
this
it.
just
So,
popped up in my news feed. But I mean, just a cliff notes here. It says instead of the oath, like punish evildoers at any cost, the Spellguard Paladin swears to protect your allies from villainous magic. So maybe
that's kind of cool.
more of like a support or utility paladin.
Yeah, that
Um,
sounds awesome. That sounds
yeah, I
awesome.
mean, in
I
my
like that.
opinion, like I like a paladin. I mean, obviously they can do some pretty serious damage,
Oh yeah,
but I
they're
love the
great
idea of
starters.
I love the idea of kind of a utility, like a tank healer utility paladin. I think that's kind of interesting. Um,
Yeah,
so I like that they're doing this kind of stuff. I guess again, I wasn't aware that they kind of just drop new specs inside of like a. They're like, oh, playtest this for us and let us know. And they just drop it.
yeah,
I've never. I guess during this project, if there's been something like that, I must have missed it. So
yeah.
I'm actually
I totally missed it.
that sounds very interesting. I tried to find some info on it. I haven't been able to yet. I've been busy the past couple of days, but I hope, maybe there's like a really fleshed out spec sheet somewhere you can kind of read up on it. But
If you guys have heard about it, or if you have access to that sheet, if you would, drop us a link in the comments and just let us know about it. We'd love to hear about it, learn a little bit more about it, so we sound a little more educated when we
hmm
talk about it.
yeah, I mean,
But,
it just took me by surprise. I mean, literally, I think it was like the day it came out. I just got the pop up and was like, whoa, like, is this like
what is
something that
this?
they're dropping later? Nope, it's out right now.
Yeah,
So
it's happening. Yeah.
it sounds
But
pretty cool. So if you're looking for a support that's not just another bard like me, where I'm trying to build a support out of a class that isn't really designed for it, maybe give this a shot.
yeah, that sounds like a cool class to play. So check that out.
hmm
So let's get into some Kickstarter news. We did find a really interesting looking Kickstarter. This one grabbed my attention as I was just kind of going through because I spend way too much money on Kickstarters, and I have way too many out there. So many that I have to keep a spreadsheet to know what I've got, what I have pending, what PDFs I've got, and everything else. Like we mentioned in the last podcast, hey, I'm looking for the PDF for the old world. I already had it. I got it back before Thanksgiving, and I'd already sent it to the apprentice. So he started reading through it. I started reading through it this weekend. But we are going to, in the very near future, talk to you guys a little bit about kind of do a run through the old world,
Mm-hmm.
kind of what the setting's about, things of that nature. But I did find one that is called Night Hunters, Gothic horror for D&D 5e. It looks pretty cool. I kind of got vibes of like Vicen and Universal Monsters and kind of the Witch Hunter when I looked at some of the
Mm-hmm.
art and kind of read through the description. So basically, you meet your nightmares and run adventures of astonishing nocturnal horror. It comes with a spirit board playmat and the Shadow Tarot cards.
Mm-hmm.
So you get a couple of cool things with that, which could be visual aids while you're playing at the table, which sound like a lot of fun. I think it looks great. It kind of has that Ravenloft feel to me too. But it's obviously going to be set. You can set it in whatever campaign world you're playing in. So it sounds like a lot of fun. So that's a Kickstarter you guys might want to check out and keep on your radar.
Yeah,
So we'll have a
just
link
to
to that in the segment.
give them a shout out. There's a 19-page PDF portfolio on here for free. So if you want to look through some of the monster stats and some character info, it's up there. And this is I didn't catch if you said this, but it is from Kobold Press, which we have covered before.
Did not cover that, but it is Kobold Press.
We do like those guys over there. They're almost at 40 projects made on Kickstarter. Almost everything I've ever seen from them is pretty amazing quality. So this looks sick. I mean, it comes with 5 subclasses, some lineages to play with. I love the art. I mean, I'm a horror / monster fan. So like this, whatever this thing is on like the cover, that he's got like his head in a jar on top of like a bodybuilder's body, and one arm is a crab and one arm's an octopus, and he's got a mouth on his stomach. Like that is right up my alley. That's so cool.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely looking forward to that.
That weird kind of human centipede type horror.
Yeah, like body horror, like crazy, uncanny valley stuff. It's really cool.
Yeah, there's definitely tables where that's going to be a good fit, and I think it's definitely got some real potential for players. So definitely check them out. We'll have their link down in the show notes for you guys to check them out. It has not started yet. It's supposed to be coming soon, so be on the lookout for that one.
Oh yeah.
We wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about some movie, games, and pop culture news, since we like to kind of cover all of our bases here in the maze. So Stephen, you're going to lead off with some news from Larian about Divinity.
Yeah. So I mean, everyone that's watched this podcast for 5 minutes knows that Baldur's Gate 3, in my opinion, is one of the greatest games that have come out in my lifetime. I stand by that. It's incredible. It's one of the best experiences I've ever had. They're obviously going back to Divinity, which is their original IP that they built in-house, because they didn't originally have the Dungeons and Dragons IP, so they had to make their own. And honestly, they did a really good job. Divinity 1 and 2, the games they started with back in the day, were both excellent. They were incredible. You don't ever feel like you're missing out playing those games versus Baldur's Gate, because they really do the same kind of thing, just in their own homebrew setting. Well, they're rebooting that franchise, and what caught me off guard about this article is that everyone that has played Baldur's Gate, there's a running joke that most people spend more time in the character creator than they do in the game, because it is just, you can every little detail. The developers for Divinity, the reboot, say that basically their character creator in their new engine running Divinity is going to make the Baldur's Gate 3 one look absolutely antiquated, which is like, I don't know. I mean, I guess we'll have to wait and see, but I honestly
so spent 60 hours creating
a character. I was trying to think, like, what could they possibly do? Like, I mean, in Baldur's Gate 3, it's like overwhelming how much, like, I mean, it's everything from the appearance to your background to different little tweaks you can make with your stats, with your class, with everything. And it's like, if that's true, I cannot wait to see it. This game has to be, in my opinion, if I'm thinking about a game that I'm like, oh wow, I can't wait for it to come out, I don't know if another game is even close to Divinity for me.
I think that what this is Baldur's Gate 3 kind of set the bar for Larian Studios.
Yeah,
100%. And with them basically not moving forward with any more Baldur's Gate games and not being partnered with WotC in any way, shape, or form, it's kind of set that bar pretty high. So I think what's going to happen is Larian is going to do everything they can to make this
one up their own
game. Because if Baldur's Gate 3 put Larian Studios on the map, I think that the rebooted Divinity is going to take them right into the future.
Yeah, I mean, Divinity 1 and 2 were great games, but they weren't really popular outside of like CRPG, games where people that already knew about turn-based games knew about it. Baldur's Gate was their mainstream hit. I mean, they became a household name. I mean, people that don't even play Baldur's Gate knew what Baldur's Gate was. So, I mean, this game, I feel like you're absolutely right. This is like their comeback season. They're like, okay, we can't have the IP anymore. You're going to move on without us. Okay, fine. I got to be honest, bro. I feel so bad for whoever's trying to do Baldur's Gate 4 against Divinity, right? I mean, dude, you better pack a lunch because
Yeah.
this is going to be
Yeah.
I mean, they are angry. I mean, maybe they're not, but they're coming with something to prove. And
Yeah.
if you don't bring everything you got and then some with Baldur's Gate 4, I don't think they've announced who the studio is doing that. If it's
Mhm.
not somebody absolutely major, I don't know. Good luck. I don't know.
Well, again, the bar has been set pretty high, and I think that whoever is going to inherit that title and try to do the next game, they're really going to have to bring their A game in order to match the success of Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah.
Because the bar is set so high, my fear is there's nowhere to go but down. So in order for
Yeah,
them
yeah.
to match the enthusiasm and the success of Baldur's Gate 3,
Hmm.
they're going to have to do some really big things.
Yeah,
And I don't know if anybody out there can do it besides Larian.
I mean, Baldur's Gate 3 like changed more than just like RP. They changed gaming. It wasn't just RP. Like if you, I don't know, like maybe there's not a lot of people that are into gaming that are around right now in the podcast, but I'll tell you this, like when it happened, other studios were like they were put on notice. Like they were like, "Whoa,
Yeah.
hang on a second." Like I remember like people were boycotting other studios because other studios, including big ones that we've talked about, were like,
Yeah.
"Hey, this is like a once in a generation game. You can't blame us for not matching this quality." I mean, they were
Right.
scared. Like they were scared of like big studios were like, "Oh, all the stars aligned for them to do this." No, these people are just making a project that they believe in,
They
that
put
they're
in the
fans,
work.
and they're making a game for gamers because they are gamers. It just
They are.
exposed a lot of these other companies that are basically just a bunch of business suits at a table deciding what game is going to make the most money this year.
Right.
Larian
Right.
made the game that they wanted to play, that they've wanted to make for 10, 15 years, and they did it. And
Yeah.
now they're going to do it again. And like I said, I mean, honestly, best case, what I hope happens is that Baldur's Gate 4 and Divinity are awesome. That's what I want.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
is there another studio, especially in the RPG space, that could do it? I don't know. Like,
If there is, I'm not aware of it.
I mean, the only other studio I know of that has like the stones, somebody like CD Projekt Red who did The Witcher 3, dude. I
Right.
mean, after Cyberpunk and now they're moving on to Witcher 4, it ain't them. So it's like,
Yeah.
who's gonna take
They're
that
moving
up?
forward.
I'm scared they're gonna get some small studio to do it because they're gonna get them for cheap and they're gonna get ripped apart by people.
Yeah. Well, they'll put out a subpar product, because again, if the bar for Baldur's Gate 3 is up here, if you come in
Oh,
anywhere below
dude.
that,
I mean,
the community is going to tear you a new one.
even if it's
And they will.
even if it's as good as 3, people are gonna be like, wait a second, why did I wait 4 years
Yeah.
for a game that's
Yeah. Instead of giving me a Baldur's Gate 4, just give me new content for Baldur's Gate 3.
honestly, if they wanted
And
to
it's a
like
new DLC.
if they wanted to save face, if I was WotC and I would, and maybe there's things I don't know, but I'll tell you this: I would just sit on Baldur's Gate 3 as long as I can because everyone loves that game. And if Larian's
Mhm.
going to move on with Divinity, hire a company to just take the groundwork that Larian built for you and just build content off of it. Can
Yeah.
you, dude? The best thing in gaming this year, if they dropped it this year, would be if they dropped a Ravenloft campaign for Baldur's Gate 3.
It's funny that you said that because I
No,
was just thinking, I was going to say, hey, WotC, do you want some free advice?
literally,
Think Ravenloft. Think
dude,
Realms of Dread.
they would print money and they wouldn't have to.
Yeah.
You don't have to update the graphics, you don't have to upgrade the systems, you don't have to do anything. All you have to do is add a new narrative campaign in Ravenloft and let players already do what they're doing now, and you would
Yeah.
charge $30 for it. You'd make $1 billion. And like,
And you don't need to rehash the Strahd thing.
no,
There are other realms in the realms of Dread that you could play. You
dude,
could play against Aslan the Lich.
yeah.
You could play against the Werewolf Horde. There are like the Haunted Moors. There's
How many Dark Lords are there? Like 11?
I think there's 11 or 12.
There's one
It's
for
been a while
like,
since I played the
but
rest
like
of it.
there's plenty of Dark Lords you could go against.
There's an Egyptian setting with a mummy lord.
Yeah.
There's the one with the werewolf. I can't remember his name right off the top of my head, but there is a realm that's basically the werewolves run it, and
Yeah.
that's an interesting realm
Yeah.
to play in because that's kind of got that old Universal monster feel.
It's just
There's
it's
so
so
many
free.
things.
Like no almost minimal effort. You could just make everyone love your game again with almost no effort. Like literally almost none.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let's jump into some show news. So, Monarch, Legacy of Monsters Season 2 will be dropping soon.
Mm-hmm.
There were some new screenshots from the yet unreleased trailer that have dropped. They look amazing. Um, there was one scene where there's like a creature that has its eye pressed up against like this glass looking at the scientist, and the eye has like 2 or 3 different pupils in it. And I'm like, that just it gave me shivers and thoughts of like Lovecraftian Eldritch horror type stuff. And I'm like, oh yeah, dude, I'm totally on board for this. So
Yeah, season 1 was
we're
amazing if you never saw it.
Season 1 was amazing, but hey, we're big Godzilla and old school monster fans, so kaiju like Mothra and stuff like that. Totally on board. So season 2 is going to definitely be right up our alley. So
yep,
we'll have a link. We'll have a link to the gallery with the different photos and stuff, so you guys can check those out. Let us know what your thoughts are on them. Then we want to talk about some changes over at Star Wars. In my personal opinion, not the MazeCast opinion, but they were long overdue changes. So, Steven, you want to lead us off on that?
Yeah, I mean, like Dad said, I'm not here to crap on somebody or to tell, to try to make somebody's life's work sound like it's not important. Me personally, I have not loved almost anything Star Wars related since Kathleen Kennedy took over.
No.
Now, and honestly, that's fine. Maybe I'm not the target audience, and that's fine.
Yeah. Well, we're not. She's made it very abundantly clear we're not.
And whatever. But anyway, Dave Filoni is taking over as president and chief creative officer at Lucasfilms. He was George Lucas's disciple. Literally, he did everything at his side for years. He used Lucas's input to do basically everything he's done, which includes Ahsoka, which season 1 of Ahsoka was absolutely incredible. He did the Rebels cartoon, which was incredible. He did the Mandalorian, which is good. He did the Clone Wars cartoon, which was incredible. He did the Bad Batch. He did Rogue One. I mean, all these. Every time you think of Star Wars, you're like, man, this, and this weren't very good, but I loved this other thing. He was the guy that did the other thing.
Yeah, 100%.
So the fact that he is fully in charge now, and like George Lucas has always said, if somebody's going to run my company and it's not me, it should be him. So it gives me hope for the first time in a long time. And I think Disney kind of understands, like, they kind of put Kathleen in place, and then like every Star Wars fan that's like me and Dad that like the original stuff, that like the extended universe books that were so good. Dave Filoni is very much about that stuff. So I'm really hoping that the next couple years we get some very good, like, fan service, awesome, like, stuff that we never thought we'd see again.
Well, what I'd like to see, and what we saw was with Kathleen Kennedy's entrenchment at Lucasfilm, was basically part of Disney's DEI initiative, right? They wanted to appeal to different demographics, which I have absolutely no problem with.
Not at all.
What I have a problem with is when you start rewriting canon to incorporate your DEI agenda. When you basically say that the Force is now a female, and that different people from the Force can get together, and if they're female, they can just create another being out of sheer willpower. I'm like, where is this coming from? How is this canon? It kind of took me out of Star Wars. It would have been fine had this been another setting that was not a 40-plus-year-old setting that we all know and love. If you had made a new science fiction show with these elements, I would have had no problem. My problem was bending a canon universe to fit your agenda, and I didn't like it. And then when it failed, instead of owning up to it and saying, hey, we failed because I pushed our agenda too far, I alienated older fans.
The core fan base.
It's not because we failed. It's because you're all a bunch of sexist misogynists. I'm sorry. That is bullcrap. And I'll just call it what it is.
It's a cop-out. It's a cop-out.
We try not to go down this road to MazeCast, but I'm sorry. You cannot use misogyny and sexist fans as an excuse to cover up what is basically poor writing. I'm not shitting on the actors, because the actors I think they did good with the roles they had. I just think it was bad script writing, and I think they allowed their DEI agenda to basically push it down a road it probably never should have gone. So hopefully with Dave in now, they can right the ship and get things back on track.
I was pretty much out after they killed Han Solo as a plot device. Literally just killed him as just a way to sell you on a villain that none of us were really sold on. And not to mention, I love Adam Driver. He tried his best to do something with Kylo Ren, and it just seemed like they would not let him. And then he tried to sell them a story of finding Ben Solo, which was going to be between, when he was training with Luke and then ran off after Luke failed him.
Yeah.
And it was going to be a whole, and like it was going to explain so much about why he is the way he is. And they were like, nobody's going to be interested. And it's like, that's why Kylo Ren failed as a villain, because people are like, why is he evil? I don't understand.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make sense.
Luke tried to kill him because Luke was afraid he would do some bad, and he just became instant nightmare fuel. And it's like, Number
one, Luke would never do that. And Mark Hamill's already come on the record that he doesn't agree with almost any of the decisions they made with Luke's story after the original series. It doesn't make sense. But again, whatever. I'm really hoping that something comes out of this. I mean, Ahsoka Season 1 set up so many interesting things, like, rest in peace, Ray Stevenson, but he played Balin, the Grey Jedi. And he,
I think is it supposed to be Ron Perlman that's going to take over that role?
I don't remember. I know they've said who. I don't remember who it is, but the way that they were setting up the fact that he's looking for, the father, son, and daughter from in the Rebels show, they talk about the father of the Force, who's this like ancient person that has like he's I don't know if he's really the source of the Force, but he's kind of like this larger than life character in terms of the Force, and his son is the I guess he's kind of the origin of the Sith, and the daughter is the origin of like hope and good, and then eventually they eventually a being, it's a woman that turns into something much more different named Abeloth comes in and becomes like this ultra powerful being because she abuses all this power and goes across the universe on this quest. She's basically like Star Wars Thanos. And you only ever hear about her in the Rebel, other than extended works, in video format. You only ever really see her in like a flashback sequence in Rebels. It looks like they're setting that up in the Ahsoka series, which, I mean, that is larger in scope and in power scale and everything than I think we've ever seen on film for Star Wars. And that's what Filoni wants to do. He wants to go into the headcanon, into kind of like what Doctor Strange did for Marvel, the MCU. He wants to do that for Star Wars. And honestly, bro, if they just let him do it, don't touch him. Let him go.
Take somebody that knows the canon,
let him go.
The canon, loves this particular
It's his whole
setting.
life. It's his whole life.
Just let him go and he will deliver. So
yeah, like just keep the suits out of the meeting and just let this guy tell you what needs to happen for the fans, and they will make you money, I promise. Just let him 100%. Go. Just let him go.
So I was not surprised to see this. I'd like to say I was, but I'm not surprised to see that they are going to do a Fallout reality TV show on Amazon. I mean, it's got potential. So basically, we're going to have people living in vaults. They're going to be doing challenges that basically correlate to the abilities and skills and the attributes of the special. So basically, your strength and all that. I think that it has potential. I think if they use like the vault sets to like set the show in, I think it could be fun to watch. I'm not a big reality TV show person, so I may check out an episode just because I'm a Fallout nerd, but I don't know that I'll stick with it. But it's definitely interesting.
It seems like it's going to be more of like I don't want to say game show, but it's going to be like, oh, you're going to be in this vault with a bunch of other survivors, and you're going to compete in these challenges, and the challenges are going to have something to do with an attribute like strength, perception, all that stuff. That's fine.
What I'd like to see is some of the psychological things that they do in some of the vaults. Like, I'm not talking about like crazy stuff, but like, they're playing music, or you have to go without food or water, and just like some of the psychological experiments that Vault Tech ran in the vaults. I'd like to see some things like that as a reality show. That would be fun, but I don't know that you could do that.
Yeah, of course. I mean, in my opinion, like, why not do a spin-off of a show like Survivor or Naked and Afraid and drop somebody in like a wasteland like scenario, like leave them in the desert somewhere,
like actual Mojave
desert,
and
like take them somewhere and like make them survive and try to do something like that, like a Hunger Games scenario in like a desert or in like an abandoned town, and like with Fallout dressing and Fallout decoration, and see what happens. I mean,
that's at least potential. I'd watch it.
At least that has like some kind of like it's just gonna have more real survival and wasteland stuff, and just some of the flavor of Fallout. I mean, I don't know how long just like watching people in a vault do challenges like a Survivor show is really gonna enthrall people. I mean, after the
Right.
whole like it's a vault, oh there's a Nuka-Cola bottle, like that's gonna wear off after like 2 episodes. Then you're gonna be like, okay,
Yeah.
like
And I'm sure they'll work things in from the show and from the canon, like the Nuka Colas and things
of
like that.
course, yeah,
That would be neat to see. Power armor setting in like a power armor workstation or something. That would be neat to see.
hmm
Um, but I mean, I don't know. I'll give it a couple episodes, see what it's like. But like I
I
said, I'm not a reality show guy, so probably
yeah.
not gonna watch it.
I did go to Costco last night and try to get the Jones soda. They have the variety pack now. That's the Nuka Cola standard, or no, the Nuka Cola darks, which are grape soda, the Nuka
Mhm.
Cola Quantums, and the Sunset Sarsaparillas from Jones Soda.
Right?
In
Were
the
you able to get
crate,
any?
no, I didn't. They had a display and they were completely out. And I went to ask a
Yeah.
guy that was walking like near the display. I was like,
Hmm.
"Hey, do you?" And he just looked at me like, "No, dude. Like you're
No.
you're
Yeah.
not gonna get one of those."
He
And I
was
was like,
probably going
okay.
to ask that question 100 times.
Yeah, and I was like, "Damn."
We checked the Costco
Uh,
here locally
the
near us in Alpharetta, and they were out.
the Jones so you can order on Jones Soda site. This 4 pack of Sunset Sarsaparilla is only like $9.
That's not bad.
So you can, I mean, if you like drink three and keep one on the shelf, it's easy. So
Yeah, yep. So that's a good idea. So let's get into our extra loot section.
yep.
The apprentice had some fun questions, so let's see what you got for us
Yeah,
this evening.
so this is like a two-parter. First part is, as a DM, do you ever find it challenging to play or to have a player join your game that is like a wealth of knowledge, like an experienced veteran player? And the reason I'll say that is, I think your initial answer is probably no. But
Mhm.
where I'm going with that is, I know if I was an experienced player, it would be hard for me to separate what I know away from what my in-game character knows. So like I
So
know what a beholder is, but like
right,
maybe my character shouldn't know what that is. But
it's almost like you're reading my mind because we
yeah,
had our session 0 today for my new game.
yeah,
I have 4 players at that table.
mm,
One player has not played since third edition, so he hasn't played in like probably 12, 15 years.
yeah.
I've got one player at my table who has never played D&D in his life except for Baldur's Gate 3.
Which we have
I've got
somebody in our game, Job. My buddy Josh is that same way.
So he's had some kind of working knowledge of how the
Sure,
mechanics of
sure.
5e works, but never played the game.
Yeah.
So character creation for him was a little bit of a challenge today, but now he's super excited. He's already emailed me his character sheet, which he finished. He's already emailed me his background. We've got another guy that has played before, but it's probably been about 5 years for him.
hmm
He's played 5e, but he's never run a game.
hmm
But the other guy by the name of Matt, is a dungeon master.
hmm
He's a forever DM like me. He,
hmm
he runs games all the time, never gets a chance to play.
hmm
Me opening up this game and talking to JT gave us a chance to actually sit down and for him to get out from behind the screen and
hmm
play. I was a little, at first, I was a little hesitant to bring a longtime DM on as a player
hmm
because I'm hesitant because of the fact that there's always a potential for that guy to say, well, I know the rules better than you, or argue
Of
rulings
course.
with me, or argue this, argue that. But during my session 0, I have about 25 items on my list, my house cleaning list that I like to go through. And one of those is, hey, you do not know, your player does not know what you know. And Pat was the guy who hosted us. He's like, yeah, he goes, I was going to ask you because I
hmm
know that trolls are, that fire is very effective against trolls, but my character doesn't know that, right? I'm like, no. Unless you live in the troll wars where you fight trolls, no, you don't know that trolls, are susceptible to fire.
hmm
So you have to basically understand there's a wall.
hmm
There is your knowledge as a player, and then there is your character's knowledge, and they're not. Sometimes they overlap, but they're
hmm
not always. So I told them, if I feel like you're doing something that I call metagaming or meta knowledge, I'll call you on it and say, hey, your character would not know that, so
Yeah.
you can't do that. And then having a DM side at my table, he and I talk, and he's in total agreement with me. Hey, you're the DM. If I have a question on a rule, I'll ask you. He says, is it okay if we come to a consensus and that's how we go moving forward? He goes, because I by no means know all the rules. I
hmm
never will claim that I know all the rules, but I have a good understanding of them. But I don't allow. I'm very much of the Gary Gygax theme of thinking, in that the rules are a structure, they're a framework,
hmm
but the game is whatever you make of it. and how you interpret the rules may be different than the way somebody interprets them at a different table.
But
So I told him, I said, absolutely. If I say something at the table that you feel's not right, let's talk about it. We'll pause. We'll talk about it. We'll come to a consensus. That consensus will be the ruling moving forward. So, yeah, I think there's definitely always potential for somebody who's played the games or played the game before to know more than their character would know. But I tell them, look, think like your character would think, act as if the way your character would act, and we should be fine. So I think we'll be okay.
yeah, I've always just wondered that, like, how do you separate yourself from that? Like, what the most efficient thing is, and you know how to be successful, and it's like, how do you separate that from your character? And I think it
Yeah.
is just something you have to continue to work on and like be cognizant
Yeah.
of, like, so I found that kind of interesting. I was thinking about that earlier.
Yeah.
But and to speak to that, one of the things I'm most excited for is that I haven't played in so long that there are so many things in 5e that obviously were not in second edition. So
Right.
I'm kind of coming in this relatively new. I know some things between my research for the project and Baldur's Gate 3 and some other stuff. Other than that, I have not touched 5e literally at all. So
Right.
I'm very excited for that.
Yeah, I am too. So, what other questions did you have?
That was the big one. That was the big one. Just kind of like how do you navigate that as a DM, and just yeah, as a
I mean, the same way you do with everything. Like I told them, let's communicate. Let's be open and
mhm,
honest. If I have an issue with the way you're playing your character, I'll bring it to your
mhm,
attention. Obviously, I'm not going to call you out in front of everybody else. I'll talk to
sure,
you separately. If you have a way with the way I DM, or if you have a problem with the way I rule something, come to me separately. Let's talk about it. Let's communicate. We'll work through it, and then we'll move forward. So, it's just basically keeping an open line of communication and being approachable. I mean, that's the
yeah.
easiest way to move forward with anything.
Well, I definitely respect, that he's got the same vision as far as how a DM should operate, how the game in general should operate. I do think that a DM acts as like this very there's these gates that are way out here as far as the rules, and I think what happens inside of that arena, which is the entire map of your campaign, it should be
Mhm.
kind of up for discussion. I mean, we
Oh
said
yeah.
this like literally last episode. If every campaign feels the same because you're playing by the book, that's not
Hmm.
the man that wrote that book did not intend for you to play it that way. He wanted you to
No.
use these as kind of a knowledge, like a resource base, but not as necessarily the law. You
Yeah.
should
But
play
like
this
you said,
game how you want.
you're basically the whole point of the game is to have fun. Like I told the players today, the whole point of this game is to have fun on
Yeah.
both sides of the screen. I
Mm-hmm.
want to have fun too because if
Yeah.
it's not fun for me to run, all I'm doing is to do it to make money.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of loses some of its luster for me.
Of
And
course.
I
Yeah.
want it. It's a social contract. It's a
Mm-hmm.
social gathering. So I'm like, let's keep the chatter to a minimum unless
Mm-hmm.
it's in game. Let's turn off the cell phones unless you're using them for a resource or for
Yeah.
looking up characters or spells. And if you guys want to chat and just BS, let's do it after the game is over. Once we've called the session,
Mm-hmm.
then we can chat and BS.
Yeah.
And they were all 100% in agreement. So I think this group is going to
I
be a pretty smooth
yeah,
group.
I do agree with that too. It's like, it's so outside of just the norms of being like, oh, get off your phone and get outside, do something. Like, I do feel like Dungeons and Dragons, or really kind of, I mean, it could be anything, but I almost feel like tabletop games have like a more special place because if you're gaming, like I like to do, everybody knows that, but it's like you're tied to your computer or your console, which probably means you're getting 100 different notifications about other things, and you're probably looking at your phone in between matches, and you're not
Hmm.
really unplugged. Whereas something that
Right.
is a tabletop game where you're sitting at a physical table with physical books, you can kind of unplug. You can kind of do the same thing that people always say, "Oh, dude, get off the phone, unplug. Don't look at your phone. Don't look at TV. Don't look."
Yeah.
Tabletop games are really the last thing I can think of, other than reading a book,
Yeah.
that you can kind of like truly unplug from society and electronics and like immerse yourself in something that's bigger than yourself and get into it.
Yeah.
That's a special thing.
Absolutely.
That's a special thing. So,
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, what's coming soon at the Maze? We've
yep.
got a lot going on, as Stephen mentioned during the intro.
Hmm.
We are going to be doing some shorts
Yeah.
for the Masters and Apprentice game, which starts on Friday. We
Hmm.
will try to get some shorts up from session one,
Hmm.
but we're going to ask for some forbearance as we kind of move into this. We're new to it,
Hmm.
and we will try to get some shorts up from that session one game.
Hmm.
They may come in kind of fits and starts, but we will get some up for you guys to kind of see some of the gameplay and kind of feel like you're kind of on this journey with us. So
Yep.
look for those in the coming future. We will have some more miniature shorts that we've been putting up on Instagram and on Facebook and on the YouTube site. So there are some more of those to come. My wife is busy painting as we speak, and she's just finished up a couple of projects for me, which one I need to assemble, and we'll get some photos and some shorts up of that. So be on the lookout for those. Those have done really well for us, with some of them surpassing 1,000, one actually surpassing 2,000 views in the shorts over on YouTube. So give those a look if you haven't already. Stephen, you are going to be working on some package openings for some cards, right?
Yep. We got Lorwyn Eclipse comes out next Friday, actually the day of our first campaign. So actually what I might do, I might actually jump into our campaign 1 chat, our video chat here, and I might open some packs like as we're starting our campaign. Yeah, just for fun, and I'll record it and I can, but then that way you guys can check it out too. Also in Magic news, I do have Battle for Baldur's Gate and Adventures in the Forgotten Realms. I did get I don't think it's called the collector's set. Maybe it's some kind of set. Each one comes with like 6 or 7 packs, a custom D20, and some little collectibles come with it. So once I get those, I will open those as well. There's some pretty cool chase cards in there. One of them being Baldur's Gate itself is a location card that I really like the art for. So I'd love to get that. So those are both coming too. So probably some Magic the Gathering card ripping, card opening on the channel. And then Dad and I were talking earlier today. We're probably going to, or really he is going to start working on maybe getting some DM advice or just kind of, tabletop knowledge, tabletop tips on the Instagram in particular.
Yeah, we were talking earlier, since Instagram changed their formatting where you can only put now 5 hashtags. They said it wasn't going to impact viewership, that it was basically to prevent people from spamming.
I feel like they had to know that was going to affect viewership. Like there's no way. It
definitely affected, because I went from 18,000 views over a 30-day period to, since they've done it, I'm down to 11,000 views. So, and I wasn't spamming. So like if I put up a post, the tags that I put up were basically very relevant to whatever I was
It's the same kind of tags that we use on YouTube. Yeah, it's the same kind of tags we use on YouTube.
But they promised that the algorithm would pick these things up and drive traffic, and it's not working out, I think, the way they planned. So I plan on sending an email to them and trying to beseech them to allow us maybe at least 10 or 15. I think at one point, I think the before they changed it was like 30 was the number of hashtag limit. But I mean, heck, if we could get up to 10 or 15, so that I can hit all the bullet points that I think are relevant, so I can get my numbers back up, that would be great.
Yeah,
because our content is through the roof now compared to where it was 2 months ago.
I mean, yeah.
And yet our views are down. Engagement is still good, but views are down.
Yeah, overall engagement is good. I mean, our website, thanks to everybody that checks that out. Our website does pretty well. Our website, as you know, is more kind of like long-form content, blog content, kind of announcement stuff. Our YouTube is for this podcast that you're listening to right now, in addition to, sometimes some reviews and some miniature shorts. So we'd like the Instagram to kind of be more of like a behind-the-scenes deal, like where my dad can kind of just like, he sees some news online, he can just make an Instagram video and pop it out there right away. And then probably, like we said, that will not be on the YouTube will be some of this like DM knowledge, DM corner, tabletop tips segment that he's going to do, just little shorts here and there. So be on the lookout for those too.
And then the other thing that we're working on right now is kind of having a more permanent MazeCast studio. Right now, I'm in my wife's office with a backdrop, but I'm actually looking at taking one of the rooms in our house and kind of turning it into a MazeCast studio, where we will have lighting and obviously a better sound system. And I'm even looking at getting a couple of neon signs made up for things. So definitely, this is going to be a year of growth for us as a podcast and as a brand. So be on the look for those things. We are happy to have all of you with us along this journey. We are looking at doing some collabs with some other content creators, like the Old Warlock channel on Instagram and YouTube, and a few others that have reached out to us. So those will be coming probably in the spring as we get out of the winter months. So be on the lookout for those, and we'll give you announcements as those things are pending. So be on the lookout for those. And we appreciate you guys being here. We hope that you will smash that like button for us. If you're not already a subscriber, we hope that you will consider subscribing if you like our content. We'd love for you to get engaged. Give us some comments down, even if it's just to say hi. We'd love to hear from you guys. Get some engagement, make some new friends. We do this for the community. We're not out here to try to make money. We're just out here to have fun and share our love of all things nerd and geek with all of the rest of you. So with that, we're going to close and leave you guys for the evening. We wish you a happy Saturday night. We wish you fun in everything that you do in the nerd and geek community. Keep your sword on free, and until next time, we'll see you back here in the maze.
Bye, everybody.
Good night, everybody.